Right guys, welcome back to the Hobby Bunker. Today we're going to be doing some containers and some terrain. We're going to do some weathering and we're going to do some airbrushing. But we're going to attempt to do some airbrushing because it goes horrifically wrong on several occasions. So we'll start with some surface primer. Good old reliable surface primer, doesn't go wrong. Who does that? Me. Just aiming to get a nice coat of black all over this, just as a nice basis, and then we're going to build up from there. The plan was to use a zenithal highlight, which I'll show you in a second. Let's fast forward this, let's get it going. We've also got some ammo crates in the set as well, so we're going to do these as well at the same time. Now you notice I've got two containers and a set of the ammo crates and the barrels. I'm going to do one in one colour and one in another. I think we'll do the red one first. We'll probably post that up today. The next one will be green, and that'll be in a later video, I should imagine. I should say at this point, this is a cheap airbrush I got off eBay, about 25 quid. It's fine, you know, it's a decent workhorse, good for priming, but you don't really get the benefits of a high quality airbrush when you want to do the fiddly bits. Well, I don't use an airbrush to do fiddly bits, but have a go. I do use airbrush cleanup, it's pretty good, it's cheapish. Now we're going into the white ink. I don't know if adding the water was a good idea or not, but I did anyway. It seems to come out okay at first. As you'll see, it does seem to come out okay. I thought, right, I'm onto a winner. And then all of a sudden, I get a little bit of spider webbing, a bit of fleckle off it, which isn't ideal. But we soldier on, because that's what we do. And I think in the end, it came out okay, but it wasn't less than successful, shall we say. Trying to hit the panels and build up the almost like a zenithal on each panel, so then when we put the contrast paint over later, it's got something to give a bit more contrast, and contrast is what we deal with in miniature painting. You can see I'm getting quite a bit of decent coverage there, to be fair, and it's going quite well with the crates as well. With the mottling's more sort of apparent now. I don't know if I should have thinned up the ink or not, or if I have thinned the ink and did the wrong stuff. I'm not sure. We'll have another go though at some point. I do lose my temper a bit, and then I decide that maybe I'm going to try dry brushing a set of the crates as well to see which one gets the best effect. Yeah, you'll see the results shortly. After spraying some barrels, the airbrush decided that it's not really doing it for me. It looks okay, so I decided to use dry brush technique instead. So the colours we use are Titanicus standard grey, then Administratum grey, then Lithuanian grey, and then Liquitex titanium white, which is actually quite a good colour. So to do this, you need to start with quite a bit of paint on the brush, and, take it off with a cloth or with a tissue paper until there's hardly any paint left on. Then you want to dry brush everything. Now, for each layer, I generally start heavy and then go lighter, which will then build up the highlights. We want some of the last colour behind at the end. As you progress with each colour, you get more and more contrast, which is what we want as miniature painters. And then once the contrast goes over the top, you've got a finished model. now we're back on with the airbrush. I'm going to try and spray contrast paint with it, Circular Blood Angels Red. It's quite a nice colour, I've used it before in some miniatures. I've never tried it through an airbrush, and it goes a bit wrong. I did end up with some on my trousers, and it didn't come out as well as I expected it to come out. Now, I didn't thin this because I thought it was thin enough coming out the pot, but I'm getting quite a lot of spider web sort of effect, which is not what you want. It's congealing in the cup. It's coming out less than perfect. It's splotchy. It's leaving speckles everywhere. And I'm starting to get a bit frustrated, but I'm trying to soldier through. And sometimes you just got to admit defeat and just stop. But I didn't, because I'm a sucker for just soldiering on. At this stage I'm just throwing 30 psi through it just to try to get the paint out of the brush. It is covering, but it is splotchy. You can't really see it that well on the camera, but it is speckling. It adds a little bit of texture to it. It doesn't look too bad on a terrain piece, but on a model it looks horrendous. So shortly after this I do get it all over my trousers. It's all on my hands. It's all over the floor of the workshop, the bunker. There's paint everywhere. I'm not happy. I decided to brush. Give up. Pick up the brush. Pick up the brush. Pick it up now. Do with the brush. So this is now, I'm using a brush this time. I've got a really thick, heavy bodied paintbrush because I want to hold as much paint as I can. Because I don't want it to streak, so I want to put the paint on, I want to put it on, I want to get it done. This stage. It's getting quite late tonight. So it went over really well actually, much better than I thought it would over the actual dry brushed ones. Over the ones with airbrushed white, it come out okay, but not as good as the dry brush ones. So I don't know, in the future I'll probably just dry brush, to be honest with you. It's much better. So at this stage I'm thinking, okay, the brush is working, let's do it on the big container. I know people shy away from using contrast paints on large flat areas, and I think I made a mess of it anyway with the airbrush. What could possibly go wrong? And to be honest, I think I saved the model. Did take 2 coats of paint for the contrast, but yeah, it did surprisingly save the model entirely. And you can see the speckle on it if you get the turn close to the camera. But after a bit of weathering, just look at the texture on it. Have you ever seen a pristine, clean container anywhere in your life? Just amazing how the contrast paint came out actually. So we're going to go now on to Recruiter Armour. I'm going to paint in the Aquila. I'll say it wrong. Aquila? 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 Aquila. Going with Aquila. Stick with that. And it's a decent base paint to be fair. It goes over the contrast paint fine, as you'd expect. It's nothing too taxing here. We're just going to throw it on, get a good coat on it. I'm not even going to highlight it because it's only terrain. I'm planning to weather it anyway, but I will put a little wash on it later when we do the weathering side of things, just to bring out a bit more detail and to dull it down a bit. The part everyone's waiting for, weathering. Now to weather, I generally use a sponge at first. I've got a sponge here that I've used for years. I've literally cut bits out the top of it to make it uneven. Last thing I want is even speckle. I'm going to dip it now in a bit of black. I'm just going to put it where I think the rust and gunk and crusty bits are going to end up on the model. So usually around the bottom, on the tracks, on the sides where it's going to get scratched. Bob it on pretty thickly and we build it up over layers, which is so easy just to dab. Anyone can dab a sponge on a model. It's hard to get past the fact that you might ruin it, but I think with terrain you'd be struggling to weather and make a mess. And more weathering, the more realistic it's going to look, the more grim dark it's going to be. We all want grim dark in 40k, don't we? Yeah, just weather with a sponge. So now I'm getting old reliable aluminium from Vallejo. We'll mix that with a bit of black and stipple that on top of the black. A bit lighter than we did with the black. You'll see it immediately jumps out. There's a scratch, ding at the ding. But we are going to weather it even further with some brown pigments in the set. But yeah, so again, stippling where we put the black in, just inside where the black is, just to give it a bit of scratches, a bit of dints. Quite a good effect as well. So the next colour I'm going to use for our weathering is Rising Rust. I'm not sure it's still called that or not. It's a Games Workshop paint. It's like a dry pigment tape that you use. It's paint that you're supposed to dibby brush in and dry brush it on the model. I use it a little bit differently. I've got the wet palette, I mix it with some other colours, I mix it with silver, a bit of the black colour from previous, with brown. I think if it's too orange, it looks a bit strange. So I'm going for like a dirty, sort of rusty colour. It's been rusted for a while, it's sat there for a while. And the good thing about using it with a sponge when you're dabbing on, you can use streaks as well. So use streaking motion with the because you've got a fine tip like my brush, or my sponge I should say. And you can really pull it down and get some real nice sort of water staining effects, which is pretty cool, especially for terrain. I wouldn't so much do it on a model as such as but a terrain piece. Perfect, it looks great. We use the same technique on the ammo crates and the barrels. We use a streaking motion on the barrels. We use like a stippling streaking motion on the ammo crates. And we keep the top of the ammo crates relatively clear, we do around the edges. Because we're going to wash it down later with Airbrush shade just to bring out that brass that's on top, or goldy brass that's on the Aquila. Yeah, it's pretty good so far. So for the Airbrush shade, I'm going to use a smaller brush. I'm going to concentrate we're going to accentuate the water streaking, dirty water or whatever. So in my mind, it's going to gather where those vents are, and then it's going to pool down the side of the containers as it sits. So I vary the length of the streaks, concentrating more at the top and then thin it out. I put a little bit on the goldy brass as well to make it a bit more brass looking, a bit more weathered. I'm going to put some down the bottom of the container. Just to take some of that orange out, make it a bit more brown. I'm going to streak it around the sides, put it around wherever the metal meets the panels, and put a quick line down there just to give it a bit more definition, a bit more shading. I'm going to do the same as well on the ammo crates and the barrels, which you'll see shortly. White now to pick up some of the detail on the lights that are on the model. You'll notice as well as a little dome on the top of the container. I've made that myself and inserted it. I'm going to use that as a light as well. Just to add a bit of interest really, something a bit different. I didn't really want the stone bottles on, so I left them on. I'm going to paint the titanium white on all the lights, and a little bit around the lights as well, so there's a hard edge underneath the light where the door is. So I'm just picking that out, just a thin line, just so when I put the yellow paint on top, pick that up and it'll look a bit brighter as well. I'm not going to do this with the airbrush. I was going to, but I thought, you know what, I've had no luck with this at all. I'm going to dry brush it instead. I'll show you how to do it myself. For the yellow, I'm using Evelyn Sunset for the Games Workshop. It's a decent yellow for the Games Workshop. A lot of the yellows seem very washed out or overly pigmented and almost brown. This is a nice bright yellow without being too pale, and that's what I was going for. So I'm basically dry brushing this on in a circular motion, obviously hitting with the light where the white is, and then going around in circular motion to create like an aura of light around where the light's coming from. It looks quite well as an effect. Right guys, I think that'll just about do it for this video. I hope you enjoyed it. Please make sure you like, comment, subscribe. Let's beat this YouTube algorithm. Let's get this channel going and see where we can go. Thanks very much guys. And if you look in the description, you'll see some links to Philbo's Hobbyhobbits, which is what we're going to call ourselves. On Instagram, there's a Discord channel as well. Just to post work in progress, I'll keep updating what's going on with the channel and what I'm doing. It's important to engage with you guys and see where we can go with this.